What's up YouTube, Brian Van Dyne here. Today I got a special treat for you. I'm going to show you how to adjust and measure the toe in on a drop axle. And I'm going to show you basically why I'm doing this. Okay, let's go around to this other side real quick. Okay, so the reason I'm adjusting this, it's very clear. This side of the tire is wearing a lot faster than this side. You can see the wires are poking out right here. And you can see this side is almost brand new, right? And the other side is exactly the same. This side, the inside is worn very heavily and the outside isn't. Okay, so now there's two causes for this type of wear. And one is the kingpins are worn out, which means the tire will sit like this. If a kingpin's worn out, there's extra slop in it, it'll sit like this, and it'll wear just the inside, right? I know that's not the problem because I just replaced the kingpins in this, and it still didn't fix the problem. Okay, so now the next thing we do is we check the alignment, right? Okay, now the way you do that is basically you get a jack stand and you set it right there, right? And then you take a spray can and you spray paint a line. You spin the tire and you spray it, okay? Then you take a screwdriver and you set it on the jack stand, right? Basically like this. And you hold the screwdriver so it doesn't move, and then you spin the tire, right? And what that does is it gives you a perfect mark all the way around the tire in the same spot. And that's what you measure off of. So let me show you how we measure that real quick. Okay, let me show you how we measure that. Okay, so you take that end and you stick it on the line, just like that, on the other side. So I'm going to have my wife help me with this so you guys can see how it's done. Here, pull it. Is it on the line? Rotate the tire if you can't find the line. But make sure there's a line on the other side too. That way you can measure it without moving the tire. Is it on the line? Yeah. Okay. So you can see that's basically 78 1/4. Okay. Now we're going to measure the front, which is a little more tricky. Okay, so she's measuring on the line. I'm measuring on the line. So now we're at 77 3/4. So 77 3/4 and 78 1/4, which means basically we're towed in about a 1/2 inch now. When before I started adjusting this, I was towed out 2 inches. Come on. There we go. Tape measure. Okay, so we're towed in basically a 1/2 inch, which you want basically a 1/2 inch to a 1/4 inch towed in is what you want, right? Okay, now to adjust the toe in and toe out, how do you do that? Okay, it's pretty simple on these drop axles. Basically, you got these two clamps right here, right? You can see this clamp. The bolt is completely gone because I had to cut it because it was seized. So you can see how far the threads are out now? It's basically a 1/2 inch. You can see clean threads for about a 1/2 inch. Okay, now we'll go over to the other side and I'll show you. I cut the bolt on the other side too because couldn't get it off, couldn't loosen it up, so I had to cut it. Okay, see the clean threads? So now our toe in is adjusted properly. So how we did that was we took those bolts off, and then you take a pipe wrench, right? And then you just put it on here, and you just turn it, just like that. Right? Or you turn it the other way, depending on which way you need to go, right? And so basically what that does is it extends or it brings it in. And the reason it does that is because you have right-hand threads on one side and left-hand threads on the other side. And that's how it works, right? If you had the same thread on each side, then spinning that bar, basically the bar would just go this way or it would go this way. It wouldn't extend or, you know, come in. So that's basically how you adjust it. And, you know, you can see I need to adjust it a smidge more. Maybe not. This tire, you can see it's tilted in just a smidge. Now let's go over to the other side and look. Okay, perfect. Straightly aligned, basically. So you notice that back tire, it's cocked this way. If you go to the other side, it's cocked this way too. And what that is an indication of is, it's not an indication of out of alignment. It's an indication that one of the shocks is weaker than the other shock, right? Or the spring is weaker on one side, which would be this side, than that side. And that's why it's cocked that way, right? So if I took and I forced this, oh, yeah, okay, that's a little bit further. Okay, now let's look at this again. Okay, so straight on, perfect, right? Now let's go over to the other side. Okay, coming over to this side. Now, straight on, right? This one is cocked in just a little bit, so I'm gonna need to adjust it just a smidge more further out, right? So let me just show you how I do that, which I already showed you, but I'll show you again. Basically, I just use this pipe wrench right here. Let me show you how to do this. I got the pipe wrench on there, and then I just turn it just like that. Put it on. You can see it turning. See that? And I only need to go just a little bit, right? Because I'm towed in just a smidge too much. So now let's look at this again. Okay, you can look. It's still towed in just a smidge on this side. You can tell it's turned in a little bit. Now let's go over to the other side and it'll look basically straight. And that's what you want. Yep, check that out. Perfectly straight. So we're towed in probably about 1/4 of an inch right now, which is acceptable. You know, 1/2 an inch is probably a little too much. I'd go with 1/4 inch personally. You know, and so, you know, we could, if we wanted to, well, you can't really do it now because the tire's so worn out. But if we exaggerated the toe in, you know, then it would wear this side first rather than this side. Because when you're driving down the road, if it's towed in like this, the patch that's hitting the pavement first is this side, and it would be scrubbing off. And that's basically what happened to this side because it was towed out too much. So this was the side that was scrubbing on the ground, basically. So anyways, hope you guys enjoyed that video. Don't forget to pound the like button, pound the subscribe button for more great content. And, you know, coming at you with dump truck videos all the time. So join now for special content. I usually try and post these videos, you know, to the members first. And, you know, while I got you on here, I might as well show you real quick. I replaced this back cab airbag, which is right there. It's really easy to replace these. The bottom is not even attached really to anything, right? There's a plastic stem that comes through and sits in a hole, and the top is threaded in. So you can stick a jack under here, jack it up, let the air out, and then you can just basically unthread it, and it'll just basically come right out. You just got to disconnect the hose on the bottom, which was one of these pressure fittings, just like this. So you push up the collar and then pull out the line. I also replaced that valve because it was leaking. So usually, you know, if the airbag pops, probably safe bet to replace the valve also, because it's probably worn out. So ended up doing that. And then also ended up having to put the bolts on that motor mount right there came loose and were gone. So we ended up jacking it back up and putting those 4 bolts back in. And, you know, just something you got to keep an eye on. You know, with these big dump trucks, they shake everything loose. Everything gets shaken loose. You know, so you just got to keep that in mind with these trucks and just be prepared to be looking at bolts and nuts and see if they're backing out. You know, it's easiest to see it when the truck is dirty. It really is. Dirty is the best way to have a dump truck. Now, here's why. See how this is shiny? See how this is not? Okay, if a bolt is loose, you're going to see shiny because it's rubbing, right? You're going to see the shininess, right? None of them on here are loose. You can't see any of them because I already tightened them all up. But basically, if you see shiny or rust trails, you know it's loose, right? When a truck is completely clean, you ain't going to see those rust trails. You ain't going to see the shininess as easily as if the truck is dirty. Trust me. When something's rubbing, it's a lot shinier, a lot cleaner. It's really easy to find something, you know, that's out of place. So, you know, washing trucks is great and all, but there is a benefit to having them dirty. You know, it's called making money. You know, when they're dirty, you know you're making money. And, you know, so, see, let me show you a prime example of what I'm talking about here with dirty trucks and why having a dirty truck is easier to spot things. Okay, boom, look at that. See the dirt? The dirt's all gone right there, right? So what was rubbing on that? Obviously the leaf spring. That's how I found out that motor mount was missing bolts, because the whole motor had shifted, right? And it was rubbing up against those leaf springs, right? So if that was clean, you'd have to look for shiny metal, right? See those 4 new bolts right there? Those hold the motor mount. Without those, you know, the whole motor and transmission sits like this, and that's why those filters were up against that leaf spring. So, you know, as much as clean trucks are nice, having to look at a dirty truck is one of your best ways to find stuff. You know, it sucks, you know, but it is what it is, you know. So another cool news, we're probably going to be getting this truck painted in January. I'm trying to get it set up. We're going to go with the same paint scheme as the new truck. So it'll be gray box, orange stripe, orange cab with blue fenders and a blue accent probably from here to the back. It's going to look sweet. So anyways, guys, don't forget to pound that like button, pound that subscribe button, and I'll catch you on the next one.